Hey everybody, this is your boy Thron Keys. This is Keys Guide to Freedom. In this episode, we're going to talk about something that I feel like is really powerful and it's not discussed enough in today's society, and that is the 14 universal laws, the laws that govern everything. Right? If this is the first time you guys hearing about it, um, I was like you a few years ago, about a decade ago, where I was going through this self-development stage of my life where I was kind of transitioning from one period of my life to the next, and in that I was doing a whole lot of self-development. I was on a bunch of audio books. I was just kind of just reprogramming my mind in the way that I think, especially at the time. So came across the universal laws and my mind was blown, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I grew up in the church. I was grew up in Christianity. And when I got out and was able to kind of go on my own, I did study different religions, throughout my life, just to kind of see how they all similar. And what I was noticing is that they all have kind of like these common principles, right? Some certain, rules and stuff may vary, but pretty much the message was, you know, so similar as far as the principles. So when I came across the universal laws, it put everything in perspective, right? So I'm gonna start off with four of them. I'm gonna break it down because there's 14, but I wanted to start off with four of them today. If I can do five, I would do five. So it's gonna be uh, maybe two or three different parts. So let's start it off with the first one, right? The first one is the law of divine oneness. And what this simply says is that everything is all interconnected, right? We all interconnected. We're connected with the trees, just like how when we breathe out, we breathe out carbon dioxide, and the trees are breathing that in, and they're blowing out oxygen, right? Um, there are certain um, ways, like in nature, where, like, how they say, if the bees go extinct, so do we. Like, we're all connected in a very delicate ecosystem, and I don't think we realize the extent of it. Some people even reported when a family member happens to pass away, they kind of feel sad and they don't know why. And then they find out, and they be like, oh, maybe that was it. We all connected, basically. And that was the first law of the universe, is that we all connected. Now, that was kind of big because, sometimes you feel like you're isolated, and nobody really knows what's going on in your life, and nobody really feels your hurt. But understanding these laws will kind of open you up to, like, there's other people that feel what I'm feeling, and then I don't necessarily have to stay in this feeling. So we're going to break down that segue to the next law, right? The law of vibration, right? Everything vibrates, everything moves, um, and everything is kind of going in a circle. So we got all these cycles and stuff like that, right? And how's that different? How's that? So that if everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, right? And you end up attracting certain people in your life because you guys got this like frequency, or there's certain messages that you can understand that other people can't understand because your vibration is a little higher. Um, so you're able to get certain stuff, right? And then how everything is just moving along, right? How we always have the seasons because of the vibration. We are constantly spinning and turning, and we're constantly moving, right? And then the next law, number three, is the law of action, right? And what that is just it's energy and motion, right? You can sit and you wish for all the wonderful things that you want in your life, but unless you put action behind it, if you put action behind that emotion, um, that's how you catapult yourself into the direction you want, right? Or in the direction you don't want, if your vibration is off, right? Which brings us to the next law, right? The law of correspondence, right? That's a big law of course. And, and law of correspondence is a big one, right? And what I mean by that, so what the law of correspondence says is basically your insides, whatever you feel on the inside, will reflect your outside, right? If you're hectic, if you got a hectic life or you got a hectic mindset, and you're always rushing, and then the world around you is going to be just as chaotic, right? If you have um, peace within, then the world outside will be peaceful, right? One corresponds to the next. So what this does, in a sense, is it helps us take a deeper look. This is why meditation is so important, right? It helps us take a deeper look. So when you're not really getting the results that you want, or it seems like you're overwhelmed, these are times where you want to just take a step back and realize that, okay, the law of correspondence, and that if I'm feeling this way, it's something coming within. Let me sit back, let me meditate, let me just breathe and quiet my mind and understand and get that inner peace, right? And then go out and make sure your actions support that. Don't all want inner peace and then go outside and see somebody you don't like and start no drama. Like that don't work, right? So the law of correspondence is, basically, um, as you feel on the inside is how your world is going to be on the outside, right? Which goes into, this is funny, right? So it goes into the fifth law, right? And we all heard of this, right? It's the law of cause and effect, right? So whatever, it's kind of like the law of sowing and reaping, right? So whatever you do, it's gonna affect something in a way, right? So if I plant a seed, right, and I'm watering that seed, right, then that's going to cause that seed to sprout and grow, and it's going to reap me a harvest, right? Which brings us to the next law, the law of compensation, right? So what the law of compensation do, and this is especially for all my entrepreneurs or my people who want to be entrepreneurs, want to own their own business, or even my content creators out there. We apply this law more than we know. And what that says is that basically you will be compensated based on the value that you bring to a marketplace, to the world, or that service, right? So, if you have a service, or you have a product, or you pushing something, you want to make sure that you give excellent service, right? If you ever went and you had gotten great customer service, that's something to stick with you, right? When you the next time you want to go out, that's going to set the bar. And if I can't get it nowhere else, I'm gonna go back to the person that gave me that service, right? And it's going to increase because I'm gonna spend my money with them. So the law of compensation you get in this life, uh, based on the value that you add. So if you're looking and you don't, you're not really having anything, and you trying to figure out, why am I not making it? Why I'm not? Look at the value that you add, right? Just because you have a product, or just because you have a service, or just because you want something, if you don't add value, you're not going to get compensated, right? If you look at your job and what you're doing, if it's a mundane job, something easy, something that they just need a body there for, you're probably not getting paid very much to be there, right? So look at those things in your life, right? The next one, everybody heard about this one, right? It's the law of attraction. If you haven't heard, there was a whole movie, The Secret, that came out about it. You hear a lot of people, talking about the law of attraction, and what all that really is saying, and it's kind of coincide with the law of vibration, um, and the law of correspondence, is that you what you want in this world, or what you tell yourself in this world, is what you're going to attract, right? It's just like frequency, right? So you attract what you think about, right? You attract, what your mind is on. And a lot of times we don't even realize that the story that we tell ourselves, we're creating that life. So if I'm sitting there and I'm mad at, my wife, or I'm mad at my kids, or I'm mad at my life, or whatever, right? For whatever reason, I don't like this, or I don't like that, and everything I have to say is something negative, right? I'm activating the law of correspondence, and activating the law of vibration. And what they're going to give me is, it's going to go back to the law of compensation. I'm going to attract that which is on my mind, that which was in me. And if it's a lower value thing, then I'm going to get a lower value substance back, right? So, that's the law of attraction, right? It looks like I might finish these. So the next law is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, which simply states this, right? We have the ability to change our circumstance by switching up our energy, right? If we're vibrating at a higher energy, we're going to consume that lower thought. Now, I experienced something like this back in the early 2000s, right? And I did it in reverse. I'm gonna tell you what that means. So, um, I'm from the Bay Area, and I bounced between it's a small city called Richmond and a city that's east of San Francisco called Oakland. You guys who don't know, so most people have heard of Oakland. Not too many people heard of Richmond, but they're pretty rough areas, right? So when an environment matters, so when you're coming from a rough place, you have to have a certain type of vibration, certain type of energy, right? People don't smile as much. It's a little tougher. So you end up having this um, not a facade, but what's the best word I can think of? Basically, you have this armor on, right? Because you know everybody around you have the armor on, right? You can walk up and down the street, your head is on a swivel because anything can happen. It's a different type of life. And then what happened was, I went away to school, and it was a whole different environment, right? People didn't lock their doors, it was just kind of a good time. So I remember transitioning from this rough kid from Oakland to hanging out with all these college kids, and they were from better backgrounds, so to speak, um, and they just had a different mindset. And I remember transforming myself, right? Being open to have more fun and see more things and experience things that I wouldn't have even thought about, because that's just not what we did, or not what my friends did. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day. So I remember and feeling that vibration going on. And then I remember moving back home um, after school, and starting to have to put back on my shield, and you know, not smile so much, because you see somebody walking around the hood smiling too much or looking too happy, most likely you're gonna be a victim, or they think you crazy, what I'm saying? If you laughing and talking to yourself. But if you just walking around, smiling too much, it's just, it just wasn't good, especially the areas that I was in at the time. So I remember feeling myself kind of lowering my vibration a little bit. And it kind of stuck on until I went through that transformation that kind of opened me back up, and let me understand that I can be happy, and that I was actually going through these levels of thought and of being, right. So the law of perpetual transmutation of energy just says that we have that ability to change from being this lower vibration, angry, upset, kind of hostile person, to a loving, kind person, just by um, putting good energy inside of us, right? So, if you ever been stressed out and went and worked out, and then all of a sudden you forgot what you were stressed out and unhappy about, because you was able to move that energy and replace it with something positive, and get that negative energy off you. All right, so that's the transmutation, the perpetual transmutation of energy, broken down, right? So The next law is the law of gestation, right? And what that just says that everything has its waiting period, right? When you plant a tree, you don't water it and then come back the next day and you got a full tree. It has to go from stage of being a seed, to sprouting up and growing roots, and then busting through the dirt. Like there's a whole period between A and Z. And the law of gestation just means that everything will manifest in its right time, right, in its right season. Okay. And the next one is the law of relativity. And all the law of relativity said is saying is basically that we have the ability to compare and put our lives in perspective. Right. I know you heard of the saying, I don't care how bad your life is, there's someone who got it worse than you. Right. And what that does to the human mind when we understand that and we get it, it puts your problems, it shrinks your problems down and able to manage it in a better way. So the law of relativity is just simply that we have the ability to compare what we're going through with others, right? That still kind of goes in between the divine oneness, how we all connected, and take reverence from what somebody else is going through. You ever heard somebody say, I thought I was doing bad, or I thought, my significant other was tripping until, I went to go see my friend. Man, mine ain't so bad. So that's the law of relativity, right? And then we move right into the law of polarity. And all that means is that everything has this equal opposite, right? The Just like there's a sky, there's a ground, right? So the law of polarity just simply means that, you know, that everything has its direct opposites, right? Then the next one is the law of rhythm, right? Which kind of goes in correspondence with the law of vibration. And what that just simply states is that everything goes in the rhythm, right? In the cycle, in the circle, right? It goes with the flow. And getting your body to understand and getting your mind to understand that, you know, there's a certain pace to life and there's a certain um, cycle to life, right? That's the law of rhythm, right? We know that, winter, after winter is spring, after spring is summer, after summer is fall, after fall is winter, everything vibrates. You see all of the birds come out, and then you have, different seasons have different fruits, right? It's a law of rhythm. Everything is moving according to its divine timing, right? The next law is really, really, really important, right? It's the law of belief. Now, we don't really understand how powerful your belief is, right? If you believe something, your life is going to show you what you believe, right? Whether it's right or wrong, right? And this is this is one of the things where everybody's like, I want to manifest, I want to manifest, because we understand the power of our mind is not a joke, right? It's a joke, right? But what we believe, right? The only difference between someone who has made it far and someone who didn't is what they believed and what they told themselves, right? Because you can do whatever you put your mind to, and that's a fact. You can't do everything, but you can do whatever. If you focus your mind on it, it might take you time, but guess what? You're gonna hit it if you believe you can, right? And if you believe you can't, then you can't. So the law of belief is just simply saying whatever you believe in your mind, that is what your life is going to be. So if you believe life is not fair, you're going to see all the unfairness of life. If you see that life is just and it's harmony, then you're going to see that harmony. So I'm challenging everybody today to check your belief system, right? If if you are have the ability to change your world by changing what you believe, that's powerful. if you have the ability to change your whole circumstance just by changing your mind, instead of me believing that there's not enough money, instead of me believing that it's just not going to work no matter what happens, instead of me believing that, it's futile to even try, let me believe that I'm going to win. I'm going to do it. I'm going to knock it out. Right? Tell yourself that every day. We talked on a previous episode about, the power of writing goals, right? So having that belief is something very, very important. Check your belief if you're unhappy with what's going on in your world. And the last law is the law of gender, right? Everything vibrates and everything happens to have a male energy and a female energy, and this is down to the atoms in your cells, and you need them both, right? So in nature, you always have these two energies present. You have the male, the masculine, and you have the female, the feminine, right? In nature, both needs both of them. That's the yin and the yang, right? That's how you balance everything. If you have too much feminine, then everything is creative and chaos. If you have too much masculine, then everything is dominant and overpowering. But having that balance brings harmony into your life, right? That's why it's really important for us to understand about these laws and how our body works and what our body needs, because the way the media and everything have you going, they have you completely chaotic and not know why. But you be having fun doing it until it's not fun no more and your mind gets silent. Then you battle with your demons. So it's always important to make sure that you do have a yin and a yang. All right. So those are the 14 laws of the universe. I hope that you guys got value from this. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. This has been Theron Keys. This is Keys Guide to Freedom. And we out.